My 33M wife's 31F affair. Seriously messed up. I, 33M, somewhat recently found out that my wife, 31F, of 5 years and partner of 13 years was having a months-long emotional and physical affair with another man of similar age. Currently, we are in minimal contact and I anticipate she will be served with divorce papers sometime this week. I have no interest in reconciliation, but let me describe what happened and where I am now. We have been married for 5 years, partnered since our late teens, and we are both basically each other's first everything. First serious relationship, first sexual partners, first loves, etc. Even hoping to start a family in the near future. I deeply trusted my wife and never ever thought she would do as much as hold hands with another man. So, imagine the shock when I found out that her cheating went full-blown nuclear. I noticed that her behavior was off for the past several months. New hairstyle/makeup, new clothes, dressing more provocatively, a new friend group, of whom I knew nothing of and never met, posting thirst trap pics on Instagram. I don't have social media to monitor her. Also routinely stayed out late with friends or sleepovers with female friends because she would be too drunk to drive herself home on a random Tuesday night. This was happening routinely for several months, multiple times a week. I was so emotionally exhausted due to my career, 80-plus-hour weeks, erratic schedule, working nights, that I did not have the energy to put the pieces together. I was in survival mode. On a couple of occasions, I somewhat lightly asked her if she was cheating, and she brushed it off. Well, a few weeks ago we were hanging out watching TV and she was vigorously texting on her phone all night. Something finally seemed too off to me. She had a unique text tone for someone she was texting, which was odd. Note, I had never ever gone through her phone throughout our whole relationship, so my degree of suspicion was very high. When she went to the bathroom, I searched her phone with the word sex and many iMessage texts came up with this guy/AP. She was returning from the restroom, so I put back her phone and tried to act cool until she went to bed, at which point I searched thoroughly through her phone to find out she was having a 3 to 4 month-long emotional and physical affair with AP. Before I have her phone back, I texted AP from her phone to tell him that she is married. I don't know if they are still a thing and don't really GAF. Now all the puzzle pieces of her odd behavior are coming together. Reading through their texts, I see that in the past 3 months she had met up with this guy at least 15 to 20 times to hang out and have sex, sometimes staying at his house overnight to cuddle. All the while, when she would tell me she was with her female friends, she was with him. When she told me she was with her family, she was with him. When she was staying late at work, she was with him. She even went on a weekend vacation with this guy where they stayed in a fancy hotel together, for which she had lied and said she was having a girls' weekend. In some pics I saw she was not wearing her wedding ring, and I suspect the AP didn't know she was married. I don't even know how she found/met this guy. My wife flawlessly executed the appearance of a single woman through a second life, at least until she got caught and exposed. She lied and deceived me so many times about everything: her location, who she was with, what she was doing. I trusted this woman more than anyone in the world and she broke me in the worst imaginable way. This would hurt less if she had just physically died rather than betrayed me in this manner. While their text messages likely detailed just the tip of the iceberg of what they had done together, the text messages they sent were so sexually obscene. She says how she loves it when he comes inside her, she is obsessed with sex with him, loves his big D, wants to go to a sex shop with him, loves deep throat him, yada yada. She did derogatory sexual acts with him that she would never do with me. Yes, I now know of Madonna 304 complex lol. Trust me, there are much more explicit things, but I won't go there. And yes, I quickly exposed to her family what she had done, sparing the most explicit items for the sake of decency. She was having unprotected sex with him. She is not on birth control. She risked exposing me to STDs, got tested, all negative. Worst of all, she did this over a dozen times, clearly without remorse. She practically constantly begged to hang out with him, leaving behind her chump husband of 5 years to take care of the house, career, bills, etc. while she had wild romps with AP while high and or drunk with him. What was she thinking, because she clearly wasn't caring about me or the marriage? Painfully, she would do these sexual acts to then return home to me, sleep with me, kiss me, and pretend to love me, all the while freshly contaminated by him. I will say that perhaps my recent behavior likely contributed to her poor decisions. She is a very insecure person, mainly about being increasingly overweight/obese, and I was in general emotionally unavailable due to the demands of my career. I was purely and routinely exhausted and had little emotional energy to offer the relationship. The stress of my career also killed my libido, and she was often turned away, which is probably extra damaging to an insecure woman. And if we did have sex, it was vanilla, but I didn't mind that because at this point in my life I have a lot of stressors and sex was not a high priority for me, sadly. Therefore, and in her words, she sought attention elsewhere as she had felt sad, lonely, and insecure and sought validation. BS. You are not justified despite the excuses. FYI, she knew that my career would be like this before marrying me and said she would always be by my side. Also, all the years she was on birth control her libido tanked, but I never considered cheating once. Clearly, she was already over the relationship, seeing how easy it was for her to have an affair, lie relentlessly to me, and allow another man to pleasure her while leaving me in her back pocket. She also heavily financially abused me as I paid all the bills and she spent her income on herself and her fling. I am a chump, lol. Back to D-Day, I recorded all the evidence on her phone and kicked her out of the house, rental. She stayed with a friend until I ultimately decided to leave town to be closer to family, where I am now halfway across the country away from her. I've taken a leave of absence from work due to the emotional turmoil. I am doing all the right things: therapy, eating right, exercising, self-reflection, cutting vices, peer support, etc. I have not seen or spoken with my STBXW since D-Day, and we have barely communicated over text. In our limited conversations, she did state that she was extremely sorry, hates herself for how she hurt me in our marriage, her actions were horrendous, and wants to do anything and everything to make the marriage work. Says that she loves me more than anything, cannot live life without me. Again. BS. In her texts, she told AP she was falling for him and wanted a committed relationship, although he repeatedly told her that he had always only wanted a casual relationship. When he wouldn't give her the attention she wanted, she would lie to him saying that she was going on dates with other guys, lie, I think, just to make him jealous. Honestly, if AP wanted a relationship with her, I think she would have left me and the marriage altogether for him. When I called her out on her words and actions, she turned to gaslighting and victim offender switching. Given the extent of her infidelity and lying, I can never trust her or love her in the same way again, so I am proceeding rapidly with divorce. What is especially hard, since I am NC, is not having closure on the who/what/when/where/why and how. I crave closure through answers, although I doubt she would tell the whole truth anyway. I most likely will just have to live with that and the consequences of her actions. She is a seriously FD up person and needs more therapy than she could ever afford at this point. And she is now free to go screw whoever she wants and have wild risky sex because she means nothing to me anymore. I wouldn't touch her nether regions with a 10-foot pole. Enjoy being served, wifey. Sorry for the long post, but the past month of my life has been a living hell and I am at rock bottom with nowhere else to go but up. Thankful for whatever blessings I have in my life, ATM. I am surprised I wasn't institutionalized at some point in this ordeal, but now I'm doing significantly better. Thanks for reading. Story 2. In shock, wife cheated. So my wife, 23, and I, 26, have been together for 3 years. We both fell madly in love with each other when we first met. We instantly moved in together, and less than a year after I proposed to her. We finally got married April of this year. We've been married now for roughly 7 months. It was a fantastic wedding, and I can honestly say it was the happiest day of my life. About 4 months ago, I found out that she had been talking to a guy she met online. She had went on a date with him. She came clean about it and I forgave her. I asked her why she did it and she said that she felt like our spark was gone and that I wasn't giving her what she needed in our marriage. I forgave her in hopes of change for the better. After that, things were not the same anymore. The arguments were almost non-stop. We would sleep separately on and off. She would constantly bring up divorce and tell me how I'm not man enough to support her or fulfill her needs. I really tried my best. We ended up going on a little weekend getaway trip, in hopes to bring that spark back. 2 weeks after our trip, I found out that she was still talking to the same guy. I forgave her again. I tried to give her everything she needed, physically, emotionally, financially. Again, things seemed like they were going back to normal. A month later, the arguments started again. She would pick fights over the smallest issues, and of course I was the one to always try to reconcile and make things better. She stopped being intimate with me for 2 whole months at this point. Fast forward to this past week, we've argued like we never have before. She decided the only option left for us was divorce. I told her that I didn't want a divorce. I wanted our marriage and the life we had together. 2 days ago we reconciled again. We decided that we were going to stay together. As always, with all the faith and love I had for her, I didn't think twice on the possibility of saving our marriage. Fast forward to yesterday, we got into a really big fight. I told her that she was being a terrible wife and that I deserved better. She ended up telling me that she's on multiple dating sites and she wants to see other people and end our marriage. I didn't know what to say to her after she made that comment. I was hurt and I left the house to give myself space to process things. She eventually texted me and said that she was going to start dating other men, she was done with our marriage, and that she is going to file for divorce. She didn't care about my feelings at all. I tried to explain to her that although emotionally she was checked out of the relationship for however long, I was still in love with her and that it wasn't fair for her to start seeing other men while still living together and being married. By the time I got back home, she was gone. She left behind a letter basically letting me know that she hopes we can still be friends after everything, but that she is going to finally start living her life again. I tried calling her and texting her, but she had blocked me on everything. She didn't come back home until midnight. I tried to talk to her, but she didn't want to have a conversation with me and went straight to bed. Deep down inside, I knew she had been with someone else. In hopes of answers and closure, I grabbed her computer and went through her messages. Her computer is synced with her phone, so all her text messages go to her computer. I dug deep and I found the most devastating thing I could have came across. She had sex with a guy she had just met yesterday on a dating app. It was their first time meeting. She had texted her best friend that her intention was not to sleep with him, but that she felt like the chemistry was right. Apparently this guy is rich, tall, and very good-looking. She also told her friend that this is the first time she has had sex in the past 2 months and ever having sex outside of our relationship. She mentioned that it was exhilarating and that she didn't regret it and that she would do it again. So here's where I'm at. I'm in complete turmoil. I haven't felt like I could breathe in hours, uncontrollably crying on and off, asking myself every question I possibly could. How could the woman I love so much and put on a pedestal do this to me? How did we get to this point? Am I not good enough? Who is this person I thought I knew and married? What happened to our marriage and when did she stop loving me? What did I do that wasn't good enough for her? On top of everything, I'm plagued with thoughts of her giving herself to someone else, and it is absolutely destroying me. I never thought the woman I considered to be my soulmate would do this to me. I know our marriage is over and I know that I will never forgive her. I also accept that whoever she has become, I will never be able to change her. Above all else, I still love her. I still wish things were how they used to be. I wish she would have focused on us and worked harder on our marriage. I know it's going to be a long road of recovering and picking up the broken pieces. It's going to take me a long time to get over this or past it. I don't feel fully ready for the journey ahead, but I know that I'm going to have to try to move on from her. Everything is still so fresh and we haven't spoken since she last went out. I'm going to give myself some time to compose myself, to gather my thoughts and feelings before I try to talk to her again. I'm not sure yet if it's even worth confronting her about sleeping with this random guy she met. I feel like I'm finally growing out of this constant cycle I've been going through with my wife. For once in our relationship, I stopped playing the pick-me game. I stopped giving in to her demands and I stopped trying to understand her or forgive her. After that night, where she voiced her desire to end our marriage and ended up sleeping with some random guy she met off a dating app, emotionally I have detached myself from her. Everything I used to see in her is gone. The woman I put up on a pedestal is no longer in that place. She's been begging to try to save our marriage. The last 2 days, she has relentlessly tried to convince me that things would change. She even went as far as to sexually try to entice me by flaunting herself around the house. Honestly, that pulled me away even harder. She still doesn't know that I know she slept with him. The only thing she knows is that I'm done with her and our marriage. I can say that this is the first time I've ever felt this way and truly have meant every word of not wanting to reconcile with my wife. This is also the first time she has ever fought for me. But I feel like I'm gone, the damage has been done and that I need to move on with my life. She only started caring once I pulled away completely. I don't think she ever thought that she would lose me. How would she when I've always been there for her and forgiven her? The last interaction I had with her was supposedly her last chance of reconciliation. After days of me not giving in, she finally blamed me for not loving her and for walking away from our marriage. Apparently, I don't love her enough to fix us. She explained to me how she still sees a future and that she doesn't want to lose me. I explained to her that I'm done giving her chances. Instead of focusing on the reasons of why I felt how I did, all she did was blame me for not loving her enough to stay. Now I'm the bad guy, I'm the guy who broke her heart. I'm the one that walked away from her. After she didn't get what she wanted and my response was opposite of what she's used to, her narrative is that her husband is leaving her because he doesn't love her. She's the victim now and the one that is in pain and grieving. She spent the last few days crying in her bedroom alone, often letting me know that I'm an awful husband for watching her cry and not comforting her. Honestly, I'm just tired. I'm tired of caring and loving someone that doesn't respect me. Everything I used to see in her is gone. It's bad to say that I've gotten to this point only when she physically got involved with someone else, but that changed everything for me. It's no longer hard to picture a life without her. Does it still hurt? Yes. But I'm not lying to myself anymore and thinking that there's any type of future with her.